You may have heard the phrase, it gets worse before it gets better, which can be true for lots of things like getting sick or being sore when you start exercising. But can couples therapy make things worse in a relationship before things get better? As a couples therapist, I'm here to answer that question and provide some context around the challenges that tend to come up for couples when they get started in couples therapy. There's a lot to discuss, so let's get into it. If you're new here, I'm Dr. Kate Balistreri. I'm a licensed clinical and forensic psychologist, certified sex therapist, certified sex addiction therapist, and packed couples therapist, and the founder of Modern Intimacy, a therapy practice with providers across the country. If you like topics around sex, relationships, and mental health, be sure to subscribe to this channel. Comment below any questions or ideas you might have for this video or future videos. And don't forget to check out our newsletter by subscribing at modernintimacy.com/newsletter. A common question that I get as a couples therapist is, can couples therapy make things worse before they get better? And the short answer to that question is, well, yeah, it can. But there's nuance to why couples therapy can feel this way for some folks. We often hear about people's successes in therapy and not as much about the painful growth periods of the therapeutic process. In the beginning, it can be difficult to see the forest through the trees, but for the couples who can stick it out and sit in that discomfort, there can be a lot of growth and a lot of healing. So why is it that couples therapy sometimes feels like it's causing more harm than good? Well, first, because you're having really difficult conversations. During couples therapy, it's likely that you'll have to take part in some challenging and maybe even really painful conversations. In these conversations, you might experience defensiveness, especially at first, and other ways that you might be consciously or unconsciously protecting yourself from the emotions that these conversations tend to bring up. A common example of this can be seen when couples come to therapy after a betrayal, like infidelity. The partner who engaged in betraying behavior has to confront their hurtful behavior on a regular basis in the therapy, which can feel really, really uncomfortable, even if they know that it's a necessary part of the process. Well, this can make therapy feel like it's making things worse at the beginning. However, there is long-term value in addressing the issues and getting comfortable with the discomfort. Number 2, processing and expressing emotions. We all process emotions differently, and depending on your early experiences and the messaging you've received around the expression of emotions, showing certain emotions such as anger, sadness, and shame, or fear can be really, really uncomfortable. Something I see really regularly when working with couples who are heterosexual is what's called normative male alexithymia, which refers to the way that men and boys are socialized within a hyper-masculine paradigm to look down upon men showing vulnerability due to patriarchal connotations that vulnerability equals weakness. As such, working with male partners to teach them not only how to feel their feelings, but how to communicate them as well as identify them can be really hard and uncomfortable for some men who really struggle with this. Understanding emotions and how to communicate these feelings is helpful for any partners, as it contributes to a strong emotional connection and building trust with one another. The next reason it can feel like things are getting worse before it gets better is because you're letting go of some of your protective defenses. We all have ways that we've learned how to protect ourselves from painful emotions, whether it's conscious or not. An example of what a protective defense can look like in a relationship might be when someone is confronted about something they said or did that was hurtful. Instead of taking accountability or apologizing, they might say something like, well, you hurt me too when you did XYZ. So this deflection is a protective defense, and it's the partner resorting to bringing up an unrelated event that their partner did instead of listening to how their actions were hurtful. Of course, the couple can eventually talk about the other person's behavior. That wasn't the point of this conversation. So this kind of blame shifting can escalate conflict and hurt feelings instead of resolving them right away. And these protective defenses serve a really important purpose because they give us the illusion of safety. However, defenses are usually one of the reasons that couples struggle to understand each other's perspectives and communicate productively. Change is hard. Most couples entering couples therapy due to something not working in their current dynamic really have to sit with the reality of changing things. An interesting thing about humans is that even when something is painful or not working, we will sometimes choose the familiarity of that pain over the fear and discomfort that comes with change. Ambiguity feels scary for a lot of folks, and partners tend to get into patterns that can be hard to break for this very reason. So change comes with anxiety sometimes because we fear what we don't know and what we can't control. So in couples therapy, Identifying what needs to change is the easy part. The hard part is making the changes that you both want to see to improve your relationship. Discovering incompatibility can be really scary. So for some couples therapy can really highlight that they may in fact not be as compatible as they thought they were. This doesn't mean that the couple needs to break up, but sometimes that is the best course of action for partners. But there are many ways to work with incompatibilities if partners are open to compromise and negotiation. But the reality of recognizing incompatibility can be really painful and scary. So a good example of this can be seen in couples who come to couples therapy due to a mismatch in their sexual interests or desire. For some partners, they can find solutions that work for them. However, other partners might accept that they just might not be as sexually compatible as they imagined. And that can bring up a lot of fear around the duration of the relationship. The good thing about acknowledging things that feel incompatible is that you can make steps forward and brainstorm solutions. When we feel pain, either emotionally or physically, our impulse is to do whatever we can to stop it in the moment. So in the context of couples therapy, this can sometimes mean that couples will terminate therapy prematurely because it's uncomfortable to talk about the things that it's bringing up for them. It can also look like devaluing therapy for not working due to potentially unrealistic expectations regarding the therapeutic process. There are things that can help to soothe the discomfort you might be feeling in the beginning of therapy when you're going through these painful growth periods. First, it can help to have a good therapist who asks the right questions to assess how you're handling therapy, or it can help sense the discomfort you're feeling and hold space for you to validate it and work through it together. The therapy is the container for the discomfort, so it really is the therapist's role to help ensure that you're both grounded and emotionally regulated by the time the session is ready to end. Therapy can be a good exercise in learning how to sit with discomfort without immediately trying to ease it. This is really hard to do, and it's especially hard if you don't have healthy coping skills to lean on when you need support. Couples therapy can help in developing coping skills, and it can also teach you and your partner how to co-regulate together, which simply means that you can learn how to help each other keep your nervous systems in a place of regulation. Sitting in discomfort requires patience, self-reflection, and empathy for yourself and for your partner. Therapy can be like holding a mirror to your pain, trauma, and insecurities and fears, and looking at all of that instead of turning away is brave and important work. And while the work in couples therapy can benefit a relationship, it also has the ability to make improvements for each of you as individuals, leading to personal growth. There's a lot of resilience that comes from learning to sit with the discomfort. Starting therapy can be hard, but fulfilling work as things eventually get better when the initial storm passes. Therapy is not just about talking about the tough things. It's also a process through which you are learning new things about yourself and building up new coping skills, resources, and resilience, both as individuals and within your partnership. Couples therapy can make things feel worse before they feel better, but there's often a light at the end of the tunnel, and a good couples therapist can help you and your partner get there. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you like this topic or you want to hear more about couples therapy, relationships, sex, and mental health. And if you're looking for a free 30-minute consultation to see if one of our providers could be a good fit for you, check out modernintimacy.com/contact and you can schedule a complimentary consultation with us now.